Hello everyone, welcome to AdiTrade. Today we're going to be seeing the Banknifty trade review for this entire week between 18th April and Friday 22nd April. This entire week could not post much of the analysis video. I was not keeping well, feeling slightly better now. Was down with heavy cough. The last thing that you can do is talk when you have a cough. So this is the 15-minute chart of Banknifty that I've opened. See, before we had the 4 days holidays, I think the last video that I made, I had a view that because of this price action, whatever is marked in this box, my view is bearish and I'll be bullish only if this level is taken out, that is 37,950. But after the 4 days of holidays, because of the global market, we ended up getting a huge gap down. See, whenever we get a huge gap down, the chances of getting a good trade is very less. So I'm going to put on the CPR and shift to the 5-minute chart to just see the best possible entries this entire week. See, whenever we get a gap down below like S2 or closer to S3, the chances of getting a good trade is very less. See, as soon as we didn't open close to any pivot level. There was not much trade. After this kind of the red candle, if somebody had shorted, until S3, this is the daily S3. We see the first dotted green line is S1, S2, S3 of CPR. So there was just some few scalping, but that requires a lot of skill. There was a scalp here, there was some small scalp on the upside. But according to me, the best trade was this. When the daily S3 broke, we had a nice target until 36,400. We had the weekly CPR S3 also here. Let me just put on the weekly pivots. So we had you see this second dotted line over here. This is the weekly CPR. I'll just differentiate the weekly CPR S3 as a little thicker line, so it will be easier to identify. So the thick dotted line is the weekly CPR, the smaller dotted line is the daily CPR. So once this daily CPR broke, we could have taken a short here until this weekly CPR. The exact level was 36,640, and this is pretty much the kind of analysis that I posted on this day in our CosmoFeed group as well. This is the one. If daily S3 breaks, we may hit weekly S3 at 36,400, or was expecting the market just to remain sideways. So basically, Monday was, after a gap down, there was nothing much to trade apart from this trade. The best entry was here, when probably we could have taken an entry after this red candle at S2, because we are taking resistance at S2, and if not over here, we could have taken a entry over here, and our stop loss would have been strictly at this S2. See, stop loss meaning any candle that closes above this S2, right? That's when we would have to cut our position, because there was the view was bearish. We got a gap down, we came down, we bounced from this S3 level, and there were a good chance that we will again break down. That was one of the best entries. And from here, on the same day, we did get a bounce again, but since we were against the trend, it was best to avoid this trade. But if somebody had entered after, like, say, if they had taken this is not like a perfect morning star, but this was a nice bullish price action. If somebody had entered, the stop loss would definitely be at this weekly S3, with the target as daily S3 and daily S2 we could have traded. But for intraday, when we catch this one trade, right, of more than 300 points, if we measure the length, so it's about 400 points, means if we had entered right over here, we would have got an option premium of 200 points. If we had entered here, we would have got easily about 90 or 100 points. So once we catch a perfect trade like that, then there's no need to look for another trade. I've just shifted back to the 15-minute time frame, and just to show you, and this is the 19th April. When we opened, we had a pretty narrow CPR. See, we had a narrow CPR. Let me just turn off the weekly pivots, others it'll be a little messy. Now I have only the daily CPR. See, it was a pretty narrow CPR, was expecting kind of a trending day. There were many entries. One is, see, after getting this huge green candle, right? So basically we are rejecting the CPR from breaking. So we could have taken entry here after this candle with CPR as the stop loss and R1 as the target. This is one scalping trade that was there. I'm just shifting back to a 5-minute chart so it will be easier to see the trades. See, after like this, a bullish candle where we are failing to break the CPR, we could have entered here with the CPR as stop loss, meaning any candle that goes below CPR will have to take a stop loss. With R1 as the target, we could have easily achieved it. That was one good trade. The second trade was this, when we kind of made this evening star at the R1, we could have taken a short over here at about 36,000, because over here we had a good resistance based on the OI as well on this day. If we had taken, again the stop loss would have been the R1, and this was a nice wick that was rejecting, right? We could have taken the short with CPR as the target, so the perfect trade on the downside. See, on this day there were many scalping entries, but obviously we had a big fall, and the best entry to catch this fall was when probably kind of the structure broke. See, the moment on this day we were kind of going this up and down, I had this channel mark, and the moment this channel broke, we could have entered, but since I take most of my trades based on the CPR, so the moment the CPR was breaking on the 5 minutes and this channel, so we are getting like two confirmations, right? One is we are breaking this channel that is drawn, this purple line, the price action is breaking. The second is we are breaking the CPR, and RSI was below 42, and on 5 minutes there was a beautiful divergence. Price was making a higher high, but the indicator from this point to this point was making a lower high. So definitely we could have entered here with S1 of CPR as the target, and see, the S1 of CPR and the previous day low was pretty much the same. So this was a good target, S1, then obviously S2. Then we started getting this big fall suddenly, and see, based on our analysis, if we had even kept this gap marked, right? See, if we had even kept this gap marked, see, in all my videos wherever there's gap, I do mention that gap acts as a good support and resistance, and see the kind of gap filling that happened perfectly. We came, fill the gap. This itself was an exit, and if you see even the CPR levels, we had S1 targeted, S2, S3. The moment this S3 hit and the gap fell, we could have just exited. And it's not necessary that we have to wait until S3. Even from the CPR to S1, this was a good scalp. From S1 to S2, even if somebody had booked profits here, this was a good scalp. And definitely, when a gap fills like this, which is being pending from a long time, we shouldn't wait much in the trend, especially when like all these three support levels reached within the like 2 or 3 15-minute candles, right? Definitely we can expect a small bounce. So the best exit was the moment we hit this S3. Then the next day the market remained sideways, that is 20th. See, a lot of people on this day were already bullish, thinking the market will bounce from here or it will crash further. See, on this day there was no good trade, but there were some good entries. Like, see, now we can analyze. In the live market, we'll never know whether it's going to be a sideways day or not, but after such a big fall, it was, yes, most likely to be a sideways day. Some couple of best entries were here when this rejection came at the CPR, we could have taken an entry with CPR as stop loss. If somebody could have booked profit here, fine, otherwise the stop loss would have hit. The same thing over here, another entry over here where our stop loss would have hit, and another entry over here where a stop loss would have hit. So this is a day where it was not the best day for buying options, where a couple of our stop losses would have hit. So basically the logic on this day was, on the 15-minute chart, when you see we didn't break the CPR range itself, right? So whenever we are getting rejection on the CPR, we could have tried an entry, but our stop loss, or there was no follow-up easily, a stop loss would have hit, nothing would have worked. But if this CPR had broken on the upper side with a nice bullish candle, then we could have gone long. If at any time it would have broken, we could have entered with CPR as the stop loss. Then for this day, this is another analysis that I had shared. See, there was a strong resistance here, right? Let me just turn off the CPR. There was a strong resistance over here, and we kind of had this nice trend line. So my view was, if this breaks on the upper side, we'll go long, and if this trend line breaks, we'll go short. See exactly where this, even the strong resistance was there, we had the R1 of CPR, and the best entry was at this candle itself. This is a 15-minute chart. On the 5-minute chart, the best entry was here, and keeping R1 as a stop loss. If any candle had come and closed below R1, we could have exited. With R2 as a target, we ended up hitting even R3. See why this was the best entry is, see, we got a small gap up, we went up, we came down, but we failed to go further down, right? We found this nice morning star. See, if somebody could have even taken entry right after this morning star, then their stop loss would be here at the end of the morning star. See, we made a nice bullish price action, and we are going up and breaking R1. So the best entry was here when R1 was broken with R1 as a stop loss. The stop loss never hit on this day. We went up, though we were sideways, then we got pretty good momentum. This was again a good day for trading. And the last day, Friday, see, for Friday, the previous day low is this black line that I'm marking. The previous day low was here. See, after getting this huge gap down, we broke the S1 and the previous day low, but failed to go above the, see what happens generally when we are trading below the previous day low, right? Most likely the market will come further down. If from wherever we are, if this black line was the previous day low, if we broke this and started going higher, then definitely we would have hit the CPR. So since we were trading on the 15-minute chart continuously below the previous day low, kind of had a view that we will be bearish. But this part was choppy. This part was choppy. We would have, even if we had shorted, we would have seen huge change in our PNL plus minus. The best entry was here when we made this kind of this evening star, and see, we got many rejections from this level. One is over here, this inverted hammer. Then we were making this lower high from here to here. We've made an evening star. We could have taken a short with this evening star as the stop loss, and obviously the target S2 and S3. The moment we saw this big candle breaking S2, right, definitely we could have waited for S2, or even after this candle, since we were not getting follow-up, if we had exited, it was good. See, my view on this day was bearish. I knew we would break down, but I had a feeling we might end up hitting either this point or the second target would be here itself, because here is where we bounced. So these are some of the possible trades that we could have taken this week. So just thought of sharing it. And the daily analysis for Monday will be out. Please watch that video as well. So as of now, my view is bearish. I'll be explaining more on the coming video for Monday analysis. Thank you for watching.